Delicious meets nutritious in the snack that packs a real protein punch. Wonderful Pistachios. Each 1-ounce serving of Wonderful Pistachios has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value and making Wonderful Pistachios one of the highest protein nuts. But perhaps more than that, I love all of the flavors they have. Their sea salt and vinegar ones are my favorite when I'm craving that flavor but want to keep it healthy. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. Wonderful Pistachios come in a variety of flavors, like chili roasted, honey roasted, smoky barbecue, and jalapeno lime, perfect for enjoying with family and friends or taking them with you on the go. Whether you're a pistachio purist who loves cracking open every nut, or you prefer the convenience of no-shells pistachios, Wonderful Pistachios has got you covered. Grab Wonderful Pistachios and elevate your snacking game today. So fill up with a healthy snack when hunger strikes. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. That's wonderfulpistachios.com.
Ryan Reynolds here for, I guess, my 100th Mint commercial. No, don't. I mean, honestly, when I started this, I thought I only have to do like 4 of these. I mean, it's unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month. How are there still people paying 2 or 3 times that much? I'm sorry, I shouldn't be victim blaming here. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/save. Whenever you're ready.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
This is Optimal Health Daily, episode 2648. How many calories does a pound of muscle burn? Really? By Christian Finn of muscleevo.net. And I'm Dr. Neil, your host and narrator. Hey there, happy Monday. Thank you so much for being here and welcome back to a new week of Optimal Health Daily. This is where I read to you from some of the best health and fitness blogs on the web, kind of like an ongoing audiobook. And with that, let's get right to today's post as we optimize your life. How many calories does a pound of muscle burn? Really? By Christian Finn of muscleevo.net. Some say that for every pound of muscle you gain, your body will burn an extra 50 to 100 calories per day. According to Adam Zickerman, author of Power of 10, the once-a-week slow-motion fitness revolution, quote, 3 extra pounds of lean muscle burns about 10,000 extra calories a month and burns as many calories as running 25 miles a week or doing 25 aerobic workouts a month without leaving your couch. End quote. You've probably read similar claims that muscle burns calories around the clock just to maintain itself, even while you're sleeping or sitting at a desk. Here's the truth. When you gain muscle, your resting metabolic rate, the number of calories your body burns at rest, does go up. But this increase is a lot less than the 50 to 100 calorie figure you'll often see written. Where does the 50 to 100 calorie figure actually come from? I have no idea. It just seems to be one of those myths that have been around for so long that its accuracy is no longer questioned, and probably exists for the same reason we have misconceptions about a lot of things. Somebody says something, somebody repeats it, and then we repeat it. Suddenly it's established as fact. So, how many calories does a pound of muscle burn, really? At rest, 1 pound of muscle burns 5 to 6 calories per day. Most research shows that muscle doesn't burn that many calories when it's in a resting state, and the energy cost of maintaining muscle tissue pales in comparison to other parts of the body. In fact, the heart and kidneys have the highest resting energy requirements, about 200 calories per pound. The brain, at 109 calories per pound, and the liver, at 91 calories per pound, also have high values. In contrast, the resting metabolic rate of skeletal muscle mass clocks in at just 6 calories per pound, while 1 pound of fat burns just 2 calories. As is often the case with these things, not everyone agrees on the exact figure. Writing in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, Robert Wolfe, PhD and Chief of Metabolism and Professor of Biochemistry at the University of Texas Medical Branch, points out that, quote, every 10 kilogram difference in lean mass translates to a difference in energy expenditure of approximately 100 calories per day, assuming a constant rate of protein turnover. End quote. That's 10 calories per kilogram of muscle, which works out at a little less than 5 calories per pound. In other words, while skeletal muscle and body fat are the 2 largest components, their contribution to resting energy expenditure is smaller than that of organs. The vast majority of the resting energy expenditure of your body comes from organs such as the liver, kidneys, heart, and brain, which account for only 5 to 6% of your body weight. Although bone has traditionally been viewed as a relatively static tissue, it's also metabolically active. Some even consider bone an endocrine organ because of its capacity to secrete a hormone called osteocalcin, which plays a role in glucose and fat metabolism. Resting muscle versus recovering muscle. I do want to make an important distinction between resting muscle and recovering muscle. The estimates of the energy cost of muscle I've just given do make one assumption: a constant rate of protein turnover. However, most types of resistance exercise will accelerate protein turnover, which is an increase in the rate of protein synthesis and protein breakdown, which is going to increase calorie expenditure in the hours and sometimes days after exercise. And there are studies to show that the more muscle you have, the more calories you'll burn after an intense workout. When exercise ends, it takes time for everything to get back to normal. Depleted glucose and fat stores need to be refilled. Damaged muscle cells need to be repaired. All of this requires energy. And the more rebuilding that has to be done, the more calories are being burned after your workout is over. Or to put it another way, recovering muscle has a much greater energy requirement than resting muscle. Muscle boosts your metabolism, but not by much. So what does this all mean for you? If you were to lose 2 pounds of body fat and replace it with 2 pounds of muscle, your resting metabolism will increase by less than 10 calories per day. It would take a vast amount of muscle to substantially increase your resting energy expenditure, far more than most people are going to build in the gym. Which brings me to another important point. Unless they're very overfat, returning to exercise after a layoff or just starting an exercise program, very few people gain a lot of muscle and lose a lot of body fat at the same time. Your body just isn't that great at doing both things at once. That's why I recommend you focus on one of two goals when you're trying to get in shape: building muscle while minimizing fat gain, or losing fat while preserving lean muscle mass. Resistance training and weight loss. None of this means that training with weights is pointless if you want to lose fat. Far from it. In fact, lifting weights will improve your body composition in a number of different ways. Firstly, strength training burns calories and fat, not just during your workout, but provided you train hard enough after it's finished as well. Second, if you don't do some kind of resistance exercise while you're dieting, a lot of the weight you lose will come from muscle as well as fat. If you are fortunate enough to gain a significant amount of muscle while you're losing body fat, the impact of the extra muscle on your resting metabolism will be small and certainly won't amount to the 10,000 extra calories a month. Does fat turn into muscle? There's a good chance you've heard that once a fit person stops training, all their muscle will turn into fat. I've even heard some people use this excuse to explain why they do no exercise. There's no point in working out, they complain. As soon as I stop, all that muscle will turn into fat. Muscle cannot turn into fat. Fat cannot turn into muscle. They are two completely different substances. Muscle tissue can increase or decrease in size. Fat can be lost or gained, but you can no more turn fat into muscle than the alchemists of the past could turn base metals into gold. However, what you can do is use the energy in stored fat to fuel the process of muscle growth. What exactly do I mean by that? First, doing the work required to stimulate muscle growth requires energy. Go to the gym and lift weights for 45 to 60 minutes. Depending on how much weight you're lifting and how hard you train, you'll burn several hundred calories just moving the weights from point A to point B. Much of the energy required to fuel that workout will come from carbohydrate. However, the workout itself will set in motion a series of metabolically costly processes that can last several days. And the largest reservoir of chemical energy stored in your body is fat, which can be used to supply the energy required for the repair and remodeling process that takes place in the hours and days after training. In fact, there are many studies where both fat loss and muscle gain happen concurrently. They didn't turn fat into muscle. A fat cell is a fat cell, a muscle cell is a muscle cell, and you can't turn one into the other. But they did use the energy supplied by fat to synthesize new muscle tissue. In short, you can't turn fat directly into muscle, but the energy stored in fat can and will be used to fuel muscle growth. As long as you're in a calorie deficit, which means your calorie intake is less than daily energy expenditure, eating enough protein and lifting weights 2 to 4 days a week, you will be able to lose fat and replace some of it with muscle. This will create the illusion that you've figured out how to turn fat into muscle, and everyone will think you're a miracle worker. The only caveat is that your body becomes less likely to use stored fat to fuel muscle growth the less of it you have. So, while fat loss and muscle growth occur simultaneously, it's a phenomenon that's generally limited to people who have a lot of fat to lose and are relative newbies to lifting weights. You just listened to the post titled, "How Many Calories Does a Pound of Muscle Burn, Really?" by Christian Finn of muscleevo.net, and I'll be right back with my commentary. We're driven by the search for better, but when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging. 93% of employers agree Indeed delivers the highest quality matches compared to other job sites. One of the things I love about Indeed is that it filters out incompatible applicants. So when you're hiring, the process is much faster, and you only have to consider applicants that are already likely to be a great fit. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/health. Just go to Indeed.com/health right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/health. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed. In 2011, a group of high school cheerleaders began exhibiting a bizarre mix of neurological symptoms: tics, twitches, and strange outbursts. Desperate parents and school administrators looked to material factors. Was it mold in the school buildings? A contaminated water source? But what if the cause of the contagion wasn't coming from their physical environment at all? In Wondery and Pineapple Street Studios' newest podcast, Hysterical, host Dan Taberski dives into one of the most shocking outbreaks in American history, a medical mystery that had ripple effects well beyond the tight-knit community where it began. Believed by some to be the most severe case of mass hysteria since the Salem witch trials, Hysterical is a podcast about the desire to be believed and what happens when the world tells you it's all in your head. Follow Hysterical on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can binge all episodes of Hysterical early and ad-free right now by joining Wondery Plus. Dr. Neil here for my commentary. So, is all hope lost when it comes trying to build muscle and lose fat at the same time? As today's author Christian said, hope is not lost. We may have heard that resistance training or training with weights isn't going to burn fat. The reasoning we're often given is that resistance training or training with weights only uses stored carbohydrate or stored sugar, same thing, for energy. So we really can't lose any fat by lifting weights, or so it goes. Well, Christian argued against this point perfectly when he said that, yes, most of the energy required to fuel a resistance training workout will come from carbohydrate or stored sugar. But while we may not be using fat as fuel during the workout, what happens after the workout is really important. Christian said that after a resistance training workout, the body will set in motion a series of processes that are metabolically costly. This means that after resistance training, our metabolism has increased, and this increase in metabolism can last several days. And since calorie burning is important for both weight loss and fat loss, this makes resistance training especially important. All right, that'll do it for another edition of Optimal Health Daily. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you back here tomorrow with another post and where your optimal life awaits.